This is 1946, at the end of World War II. The British colony, India, is on the brink of a massive change. Because of the huge price tag of the Second World War and rebellions from Indians like Gandhi, the British have found they have no way to fund running the highly expensive colony. The Indian natives are in relative peace too. There are many religions, but the two main and huge religions are Hinduism and Islam. These two groups respect and live in harmony, but small differences keep them apart.
I remember my mother accepted the Muslim people, but had superstitions about where and how they touched her. She would never let them touch her while she made dinner, while she prayed, or even while she ate.
The Muslims, who live mainly in a northern region of India called Punjab, have a desire to separate into their own country, to be called Pakistan. The head of the Muslims is a man called Muhammad Ali Jinnah. He is a former barrister who believes that the Muslims are being oppressed and wants a separate state.
I learned much of what I know and believe from my travels to England. When I was only 17 years old, I went to Britain to train to be a barrister, and while there, I learned about politics, dress, and etiquette. Now I think I am one of the best dressed, mannered people in India.
The name Pakistan is not named after a group of people, such as Afghanistan is named after the Afghans or Uzbekistan is named after the Uzbeks. Instead, it is an acronym. P for Punjab, A for the Afghan regions surrounding it, K for Kashmir, one part of the Indian subcontinent, S for Sindh, a region of Pakistan, and 10 after Balochistan, another region. On the 16th of August, 1946, an estimated 100,000 Muslims meet in the center of Calcutta, a city in the Bengal region of India, for midday prayers. As soon as the meeting ends, some of the more radical Muslims start to attack Hindu people. This is a protest for the separation of India.
I can see it in my mind's eye. Muslims flocked down my street and started attacking my neighbor with iron rods and sticks. They beat his skull in. I ran into my house, locked the door, and pulled the curtains, and hid in the back of my house. I was scared for my life.
Skirmishes continue for a week, until British forces shut down the fighting. Alas, it is still the beginning of almost a year of fighting, politics, and negotiations. There is one man who was successful earlier in his life, who tries to make a difference and keep India together as a country. His name is Mahatma Gandhi. He goes from village to village, speaking to as many people as he can.
The goal for my travels is to convince people to see that everyone can live in harmony. I believe it is ridiculous that people want to be separated based on religion. We are all the same people, and we should celebrate it, not run from it.
Gandhi walks barefoot and gathers as many people as possible to listen to his beliefs. It doesn't always work. Eventually, less and less Muslim people show up, until finally only Hindus gather to hear him. His attempts become pointless.
I try my best to make people see peace is always the option, but sometimes people don't want peace. They want blood, and they want death.
England has decided to employ a new viceroy to conduct negotiations between Jinnah and Jawaharlal Nehru, an Indian politician who was tutored by Gandhi. His name is Louis Mountbatten. Mountbatten worked in the military as a commander and has been made viceroy because of his experience of the Indian region. Mountbatten is given a mansion with over 5,000 servants. There are all kinds of jobs, and one of the worst ones is the chicken plucker, whose sole job is to pluck chickens. He holds the meetings with Muslim and Hindu leaders. His approach to negotiations are unorthodox.
I sat down in armchairs with Nehru and Jinnah, and before we even began to talk and discuss politics, we talked about our personal lives.
Nehru likes this casual approach, and he and Mountbatten will become lifelong friends. On the other hand, Jinnah is ice cold. He is a serious and focused man and has no time for chit-chat. Meanwhile, in Punjab, there is unrest coming from a different group of people, the Sikhs. The Sikh people and Muslim people have a history of violence. The one thing Sikh people do not want to do is become a separate state with Muslims. They prepare for war with the Muslims. When the Muslims catch wind of the Sikh plans, they begin horrible, bloody fighting.
Almost every day, I heard a story about a small village getting burned, women getting raped, and people dying by a small group of guerrilla warriors. Hundreds of villages were destroyed, and to prevent all-out war, we had to move quickly to make a decision regarding the separation of India.
Mountbatten realizes if a decision isn't reached soon, all-out war could ignite. He hurries the negotiations, and on June 7th, a decision is reached to separate.
When the news was released, everybody rejoiced. India was to be separated from Pakistan, but slowly we realized the horrible truth. Punjab would be right on the border of the new country and India. Which country would it be in?
People quickly realize this will be the last time Hindus and Muslims will be together. Small groups of people break in and loot all that they can from other people's houses. The decision has been made to partition, but an explicit line still needs to be drawn between India and Pakistan. A barrister named Cyril Radcliffe is chosen to divide the line, with only 36 days left to partition. It would take a lot of hard work, patience, and knowledge to make the controversial and difficult border line.
I had to decide based on all kinds of factors. Irrigation, railroads, religious majorities, and canals. I worked late into the night contemplating where everything would go.
Soon, rumors begin to circulate. People hear that Lahore is most likely going to belong to Pakistan. Since rich Hindu don't want to be persecuted in the soon-to-be Muslim country, a majority of them move out. The whole part of Lahore is abandoned. Seeing their chance, one night, Muslim people run to the empty neighborhood with torches.
I looked out of my window and saw dozens of Muslims flocking to that part of Lahore. It was late evening, so it was dark outside. There were many of them carrying torches. When I looked out of my window several minutes later, I saw a whole part of the city blazing white flames. They did not end until the morning.
Radcliffe finishes his map on August 9th, but he doesn't release it until partition a week later. Because of all of the fighting that is occurring on the border of the two countries, if he were to have released his plan as soon as he was finished, he may have saved hundreds of lives.
On August 15th, we announced partition. There was a huge crowd of people at the doors of my house, and policemen had to push people back to let me in.
Punjab and Bengal have been sliced in half, and Lahore has indeed gone to Pakistan. Millions of people who now live in the wrong country are forced to pick up their things and move. Many people travel by cart or just by foot, but thousands also use trains to transport their things.
Millions of our Muslim people moved into Punjab after partition. I remember hearing stories about train hijackers. These were people who would break into trains and loot and murder everybody. The worst hijacking I have heard was when 600 people died to those evil people.
In the course of the next few months, 15 million people migrate, 1 million die. Pakistan is soon under control and is a new, flourishing, independent country. Even after all of the fighting and disputes, the Indian peninsula is now once again peaceful. It has been ever since.
Why this colaveri, colaveri, colaveri day? Why this colaveri, colaveri, colaveri day? Rhythm correct? Why this colaveri, colaveri, colaveri day? Maintain please. Why this colaveri a day?